Hey there, that was the Square Enix Presents E3 presentation right here on IGN Summer of Gaming 2021. I'm Max Scoville, and joining me right now to attempt to break down everything we just saw, but more likely to just kind of nerd out about JRPGs and superheroes, please welcome my esteemed colleagues Mitchell Saltzman, Zach Ryan, and Cam Hawkins. Surprise, we're getting a new Guardians of the Galaxy game in just a few months. This was kind of amazing. They managed to keep this cat from getting out of the bag, or rather raccoon, I guess. Who wants to go first? Raise your hand.
Sure.
I'll go.
No,
go ahead, Mitchell.
Go ahead, Zach.
No, go. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start.
Okay, go ahead.
So first things first. Amazed that this game is coming out in October. Like, cannot believe that they've managed to keep this a secret to the extent that they can announce a release date a few months out and be ready for it. Like, that is so awesome. Overall, I think this looks pretty interesting. I think we talked a little bit while we were watching the show. I'm not like wild about the character design, but I think that the actual game itself, I think that the dialogue in between the characters is really cool. I'm stoked. I'm ready for a Guardians game, and I think this could be a really good one.
I think another thing that we brought up, just sorry, really quick, is that it kind of gave us like Mass Effect-y vibes, not in the way that it was like an RPG, but in the way that there's a lot of banter between the characters. There's a lot of emphasis on choice. There's a lot of in combat, you're telling your squad mates to do different things. So I was all about that. I thought that seemed really, really cool.
Yeah, it's neat. It's kind of got that. You know, it's like Mass Effect with the sort of brainy stuff stripped out of it. Like it's you know, the Guardians are kind of like the crew of the Normandy, but like a little bit dumber and goofier. So it's kind of a good setup there. Cam, a lot of people were talking about the designs. What did you make of those?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't like the whole beard thing that like Rocky Raccoon's got going on. Gamora is an interesting choice. Like I'm not super into the different character designs. Like, some of them feel a little bit MCU like inspired. Drax kind of similar to that. Groot looks kind of like that. But to be fair, like, some of those characters, you can't really make a whole lot of difference in those characters in a way that like still feels true to their character, because they have a relatively simplistic design. So I'm not like really. It's not like a turn off, but I definitely wish that it was different.
I will
say I'm really digging Star-Lord's Devil May Cry style jacket. He's got a very very nice Dante vibe to him.
Yeah, Mitchell, you're a big fan of hack and slash and action games. Tell us about the combat a little bit.
Yeah, so you know, it's a third-person action game. What was really surprising is that you only control Star-Lord, it seems like. So, like I mentioned, it does have that kind of Mass Effect vibe where you are kind of, you know, giving orders to your partner, to your teammates, telling them to do their very specific set of skills. But, you know, it looked like there was a combo meter. You can, you know, bump enemies up. Star-Lord has hover boots, so he can kind of float around. And yeah, it seemed like it had a pretty solid base for look at Rocket's guns there. You can slide on the ground. So yeah, it seems like it's hitting all the check boxes in terms of what you would expect to do with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I said it earlier, but when we were watching it, but like, I would be willing to bet that we at least get some time with each of these characters. I think Star-Lord is Star Wars. I think Star-Lord is probably the main playable character, obviously, but I bet you, like, you know, like in The Last of Us or something where you wear somebody else's shoes for a little bit, I bet you we get, you know, 15 to 20 minutes somewhere in this campaign with each of these characters, because it is an ensemble cast. Like, you know, you want to spend that time with each of these characters, maybe doing a little solo mission or something.
One other thing that I wanted to touch on is at the very end of the little combat section, they have like this super mode activate where they start playing Bad Reputation, and all the cooldowns. You know, there's no more cooldowns for all your abilities. That seemed like a lot of fun, and it was just a really cool and stylish way to have that kind of like ultra mode kind of power up.
Yeah, I hope that as you level up Star-Lord and unlock different supers and stuff, like each of them comes equipped with like a different song.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I really like the idea of like your superpowers being tied to like different 80s super hits. I think that'd be really cool.
I'm super into that. They also showed some really cool alternate costumes at the end. I'm pretty lukewarm on these designs. I feel like it's the same issue that I had with the Avengers, where it's like really close. It's kind of like an uncanny valley, but not just for faces, for like the entire aesthetic. Like, it's so close to being the MCU that it's just, I notice what's different. But you can also dress them up in like classic Guardians costumes, which is fun.
Yeah.
like it looks funny as hell. Like it seems like they've got some really strong writing there.
Yeah, I like that they're taking a page out of the Telltale book as well, and they have the when there's that moment where you can support Drax in his effort to toss Groot or discourage him, and so I'm sorry, Rocket, and so you toss Rocket, and then that little icon pops up that says like Rocket is furious that you threw him across the gap. Like I thought that was really good, and I like the idea that maybe that will have some impact later in the story of like your party's temperament towards Star-Lord because of the choices that he makes throughout. I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to have branching paths or stuff like that. But
that'd be very cool.
Yeah, right. Like I think it again, if they sort of cherry pick the more I don't know, like social aspects of Mass Effect, that could be really fun. I'm relieved that this is a single player game. That's kind of what that's kind of what the experience I want from a Marvel stuff is. We also got a look at some new Avengers stuff. We can just touch on that briefly, but we got to look at the sort of the new stuff that's coming up on that roadmap. There's Black Panther is a big one. The War for Wakanda is the next big thing. All right, did any of you guys get into Avengers? Did you get hooked on that at all?
Yeah,
I feel like. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, I played a bit. I played through the whole campaign and then played a little bit of post game. And I think there are people that I know that love that game and still play that game. But the main criticism is that there's not enough content. There's not enough enemy types. There's not enough villains. Like at this point, still like as far as I'm aware, the only two like villains you can fight that are there is Taskmaster and Abomination. But with Wakanda now being part in the play, and Ulysses Claus that we saw in the trailer, hopefully that'll add something new and fresh and make. Like, I will go back to Avengers and try this out and see how the game has evolved since I first dropped it late last year. Like, it'll probably be about a year since the game came out when the last time I played it. And I want to give it a fair shake. I want this game to be good. So I want to go in there, go to Wakanda, see what the game has to offer, and see if it's a game that, like, is growing over time or if it's still kind of in a standstill.
I played through the main game, the main story, and I enjoyed it as a Marvel story. I thought Ms. Marvel in particular was like a really great character. But I dropped off as soon as it hit the sort of games of service stuff. But I like the idea of popping back in and having these big sort of story expansions. I know that there was a Hawkeye expansion earlier this year that I never got around to, but I might come back for this one. I think it looked kind of cool.
I'm a little bit underwhelmed at the sort of the pace with which they're dropping new characters. We've known for ages that Spider-Man is going to show up in this, and we haven't seen that. We got to look at the weird sort of four-legged robot spider, but no sign of anything regular Spider-Man shaped. So hopefully they stick with it. But with a lot of games as a service, it doesn't hurt to kind of take a break now and then come back when a bunch of new stuff has been added. Yeah, I mean, I think out of those two, I'm definitely looking forward to Guardians a lot more, and I'm also so happy that they managed to keep that a secret and that it's that close. Do you guys think it's actually going to hit that release date, or does that seem like a risk of a delay?
I think so. I mean, I think you'd have to be pretty bold to put it out. I think you'd have to be pretty bold to put out a date like that that's so close and then delay it. I feel like that is a move on their part that says that we're pretty confident that we can hit this release date because it is only a few months out. They must be, relatively close to going gold.
Cool.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's 2021. It's the year of delays. Anything can happen, but I do agree that I feel pretty good about this hitting in 2021.